There is no worse person than a person that stands in their own way. There is nothing in front of us but ourselves. We got to call it. If you want more, you got to say to yourself, no more excuses. The worst person is the one that constantly makes excuses. The more you constantly say this, what happens? The mind receives the lie.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. Yes. Every time we do this live, I get very excited. I love coming on here to talk to you guys and share content. Tonight, we're talking about something special. Some people are going to find this controversial. Some people are going to get offended. But we are here to always tell the truth. The topic tonight is, are you a BBL? Are you a BBL is the topic tonight, guys. Listen, we asking this question. For those on my live, I'm asking, are you a BBL? Right? Are you? And they're going to ask me, what does that mean? And I'm going to be honest with you. We got controversial tonight. Tonight we're asking, are you building a better life? Are you building a better life? Sometimes we sit back and we get mad at the fact that things aren't going the way we would like. But I'm going to be honest with you. You got to weather storms. A lot of people won't embrace storms, but yet and still expect the best sunsets. I'm going to tell you something. If you haven't noticed in life, when you go through the worst times of your life, you end up getting your biggest blessings if you ultimately go all the way through the storm. But in order to understand this, you must have been through something. I truly believe that the strongest warriors are the ones who've been through things. Sometimes people tell me what they would and wouldn't do, but I'm like, you don't know what you would do until you're faced with that situation. It's easy to say what you would or wouldn't do until you're faced with a situation. I've weathered many storms. So when I know that I say to myself, I'm a warrior, I say that because of my trials and tribulations that allowed me to believe what I am. So I'm asking everybody in my live today, are you a BBL? Meaning, are you building a better life? Are you building a better life? Right? See, someone probably would have thought I was going to talk about a Brazilian butt lift. But we're talking about, are you building a better life? Right? And I'm asking this question. What are you doing to build this life? See, I'm going to give you something, and this is a gym right now, guys, right? A lot of times people always tell you to find yourself. I've heard this for a very long time. You must find yourself. You must find yourself. When we say this term, find yourself meaning find your comfort. Find your levels of respect. Find who you are as far as what you are or who you identify as, right? But here's the narrative that people don't say enough for me, right? They never ask, are you creating yourself? Which is the most prominent thing. So they tell you to find yourself, but they don't tell you to create yourself. And what I mean by creating yourself, if you know the lifestyle that you want in your life, you have to create it. But we always talking about finding it. You'll never find success, but you can create success. If you believe that you'll find success, I'm going to say this on record. Keep on looking for something that don't exist. You cannot find success. You have to create success. The lifestyle that you envision in your mind, you must create it. How do you say create it? For instance, if I don't create the salary to fund the life that I want, how am I going to find that? I can find the household I want, but if I don't have the money by creating the lifestyle to acquire or to maintain it, how is it going to work? No one ever tells you to create yourself. But I'm sitting here today telling you, you got to create yourself. We want this lifestyle. And again, there's nothing wrong with wanting nice things. People misconstrue wanting nice things with being like, what do you call that? A gold digger or a person that's materialistic. I don't believe you're materialistic because you like nice things, right? Sometimes in life, I feel like we undervalue a person's substance. If you know that this is who you are, right? And you work hard for what you want, there's nothing wrong with wanting nice things. Sometimes people don't talk about the people that settle, right? Everything always looks good until the dust settles. That's what they say. But things are not looking good because you allowed yourself to settle. So when the dust settled, nothing looks good because you haven't done anything. You haven't created anything. You know, I'm asking again, are you a BBL? They're asking, what is this statement we're saying tonight? Are you building a better life? Are you building a better life? Are you complacent and content with where you are today? There's somebody on my live right now who do not like the life that they currently live in. But I'm going to tell you something. As long as you stay the person you are, you're going to stay in the same position. It is impossible to change your position if you don't change your mentality. It is impossible to change your results if you don't change yourself. It's impossible to get better results if you don't go around new people and do new things. This is the premise of life. I don't know who's creating this mentality where they believe that they're going to build this better life without having to do anything. It is a foolish mentality for someone to believe that something comes from doing nothing. I'm going to have a lot from doing nothing. I don't know who told someone this, but there are people who genuinely believe that I want more from doing less. I want more, but I'm willing to do less. But you believe that that's going to work. That's like saying nothing plus nothing equals something. Nothing plus nothing equals something because we believe we're going to have something by doing absolutely nothing. It don't make sense. So I'm asking again, are you a BBL? Right? Are you building a better life? Are you building this better life? So I say this term again, you have to create the visions that's in your mind into your reality. And again, it takes a very small-minded person to not want to see your vision. So when you have this vision in your mind, you can't tell everybody your vision. I remember at one point, I started seeing things in my own head. And the average person gonna say, this guy sounds kind of crazy. But I'm gonna tell you something, for those who don't understand, the craziest people are the ones who achieve the most. Let me repeat that again. You have to be crazy in order to create what you see in your mind because everything seems like a dream until you realize that you have to pull it out in reality. The moment, and I say this on record, the moment your work ethic surpasses your dreams is the moment you'll start winning. The moment your work ethic surpasses your dreams is the moment your reality will start happening. Because if you continuously believe that your dreams are bigger than your work ethic and you're gonna have the results, then you're sadly mistaken. That's not a reality. That's delusion. That's a crazy mentality. You can make yourself crazy by thinking crazy and overly doing things that make you more crazy. I've never met a crazy person tell me that they're crazy. I've never met them. Because a crazy person don't know they're crazy. And that's the same thing you can do to yourself by constantly telling yourself something foolish. So I'm asking again, are you a BBL? Are you building a better life? You want this big house. You want this nice car. You want this great lifestyle, but you don't make no sacrifices. You want the children in private school. You want all of these things, but if you don't create the lifestyle to sustain that, it will not last. And this is a harsh reality. But if we speak against reality because we become fairy tales or delusional to reality, that we believe that the person that's telling the truth is crazy. But it's not the person that's falsifying the lies. You can write and say whatever you want, but no matter how you slice it, reality will always become reality. It will always be reality. It seems like in today's society, we avoid reality, right? We avoid it. How do we avoid reality? We use substances, right? There are people, literally, who believe that they're going to be rich doing absolutely nothing. Rich, right? Rich. And this is crazy. Because you haven't done anything in your life, but you believe that something is just going to magically manifestate because of the fact that you feel you deserve something that you have never worked for. When you come to your class and you look at your grades at the end of the year, every year you get the results of what you put in, right? You are your results are a reflection of you. And I'm going to say this on record. I want everybody to hear this. When you're younger, you look like your parents. But as you start aging and you get older, you start looking like your life's decisions. Let me say that again. When you're younger, you look like your parents. But as you start aging, you start looking like your life's decisions. And a lot of people look like they life decisions, but they don't want to hold themselves accountable to their life for decisions. But you look like what you are and what you've done, what you haven't done. But if you tell someone this remotely, they're going to be upset. Why? Because I'd rather hear a false document or falsehood. You look like your life decisions. So I ask again, are you a BBL? Are you a BBL? Are you building a better life? Are you content? Are you complacent? Are you stagnated? Are you not doing anything more than what you used to do? The worst conversation you could have is someone who's stuck. They stay in a moment, right? I call it the wonder years. I have people that I known as a child when we were younger that still talk about what they used to do. And to me, that is a conditioned mind. When I say conditioned, look at this narrative. When we were children, we behaved as children, but when we became adults, we learned how to put away our childish ways. But a lot of people don't want to put away their childish ways because they're complacent. They're content. How do you fix what you don't know is broken? How do you see what's not in your vision? Right? When I told a guy the other day, I said, why don't you start a vision board? He said, what is a vision board? I said, this is something you start writing down every day so you can start putting your vision into reality. So get that board on your wall and start writing what you want to do. I want to accomplish this. I want to accomplish that and stick to course. And not only stick to course, but live realistic. How do you live realistic? By having a harsh reality conversation with oneself. Some people will never have that conversation that they need with themselves. That one-on-one that they need, Chris. That one-on-one conversation. You know that conversation I'm talking about, right? That one where they need to sit down with themselves and actually talk to themselves and tell themselves the truth. Some people will never tell themselves the truth. So what happens is we start believing the lies, right? That's the reality. How can someone change their lives if they're not willing to change themselves? How? So again, let's have this discussion, right? Is someone on my live right now, what are you willing to do different to get better results? What are you willing to do, right? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, what are you willing to do, right? I'm gonna start with me. I'm willing to learn more. I'm willing to learn more. You ask the average person, are you willing to learn anymore? Are you willing to go into a room that don't speak the language you speak and stay in that room? You think the average human will go into a room that speaks a completely different language than themselves? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because we're humans, we love comfort. And what makes us comfortable is what actually keeps us at the same level. We're humans that look for comfort, not realizing that comfort is the devil. The more you get comfortable, the complacent you become. It's one thing to say, I cannot, when you're giving yourself an excuse to not. You cannot only exist because you've given yourself this excuse. Your cannot will never happen because you've given yourself this excuse. You can see what others should do, but you can never see what you should do. So you're going to always tell others what to do, but you can't live by your own advice. You can't even live by your own advice. You can tell everyone what they should do with their lives, but you cannot tell yourself because you're deaf to what you need to hear and you're blind to what you need to see, ultimately giving yourself the worst disability. The worst disability is one who decides to be blind to what they need to see and deaf to what they need to hear. That is the worst disability you can give yourself because it's a conscious choice. A person don't choose to be blind. A person don't choose to be deaf, but there are people who are choosing to be deaf and there are people who are choosing to be blind because they want to give themselves a disability, so therefore they don't have to do no more than what they've done today, at this very moment. As I said before, when you're born, you look like your parents, but as you age, you start looking like your life choices. So I ask again, are you a BBL? What do I mean by that? Are you building a better life? Are you complacent? Are you content? Are you making excuses for yourself but no one else? I can see everything you do wrong, but I can't see myself. That's crazy. And why is that crazy? Because I don't want to hear anything more than what I want to hear. It is sad when you can meet a grown-up and you can go to them, as soon as you try to talk to them, the first thing they get on something called defense. Become defensive. You can't even tell them anything. Anything that's about them will ultimately be an argument. Why? Because they don't want to hear anything about themselves. They allow themselves to believe that they're perfect. But you notice the funny thing about the people that always don't want to hear anything about themselves? They always got something to say about somebody else. Did you just hear that? The people who don't want to hear anything about themselves, they always have something to say about someone else because they don't want to hear anything about themselves. You're the problem. Everyone's done something to them other than themselves. When you put yourself in this boat, right? You have to be able to hold yourself into that situation. Whatever you decide to do, right? Right? You got to understand, sometimes we're our own enemies. I'm going to tell you something. When you're your own enemy, that is the worst battle. Think about that. You're your worst enemy. Imagine being on a battlefield, right? And looking across the field and the person looks identical to you. Let me say that again. Imagine being on a battlefield and looking at the person on the other side of the battlefield and they look identical to you. Because a lot of times we don't realize the truest and the worst battle is the ones we have with ourselves. We're fighting a war with ourselves. But you can't see that your worst enemy is oneself. You've become complacent. You don't want to build the BBL. You don't want to build it. What is the BBL? The better life. You want the results with no action. There is no steps to nothing, but yet and still you believe you walk so far. You've been standing in the same place, but you believe you walk so far. You've been standing in the same spot for the last 10 years talking about what you're going to do. There is no worse person than a person that stands in their own way. There is nothing in front of us but ourselves. We got to call it. If you want more, you got to say to yourself, no more excuses. The worst person is the one that constantly makes excuses. The more you constantly say this, what happens? The mind receives the lie. Right? The mind receives the lie. And that's what happens. Right? Right? We don't realize, right? Fixes are temporary. But, say this again. Fixes are temporary, but building is permanent. We want more, but we don't want to do anything. I'm conscious to every decision I make now. You got to live and die by what you choose. A lot of us don't live and die by what we choose. We want to say that, you know what? Give an exception to me. Let's establish something, guys. Let's have a real conversation, guys. Let's establish that we're not special, right? Let's look at it as the race, the tortoise and the hare, right? Let's look at it as this. If I don't do no more, I'm going to get results. See, the one thing you must understand is the most resilient, the most consistent, the most unwilling to quit person will ultimately change their whole results. Because no one knows that true moment of the breakthrough, right? We don't know the breakthrough. Look at it as that picture we see a lot, Chris, right? Remember the guy that's chipping at the wall, the woman that's chipping at the wall, and then they stop before the fact that they get to the diamond? That's that breakthrough we don't know when it's gonna happen. You gotta go after your dreams every day, all day, every day until it happens. Don't timestamp nothing. Don't date nothing. Don't put a moment, a minute, and a second to nothing. At the end of the day, just keep going after it. And eventually, it's gonna happen. As I said, the craziest people on earth are the ones who are crazy enough to create the results that they want. At one point, Albert Einstein looked at him as he was crazy. He was talking all the things that people never heard. But he was a genius, right? He was a genius, right? Right? And that's what it is. Look at the Javante Davis situation. And let's have a conversation about this. This is what I've noticed with a lot of people. I'm looking at the fact that he went back to his neighborhood. And this is all alleged. I don't know to be a fact, but it's speculation, right? But let's just say hypothetically it's true, right? Javante Davis went back to his neighborhood. He purchased his old block, not his house, his old block, right? And ultimately they set the block on fire. Hypothetically, I don't know if it's true again. But again, let's just say it is true. This is the crab in the barrel mentality that I see when it comes to trying to do more. There are tons of people who feel like if they don't support you, that they're gonna stop you from winning, right? But this is the problem. When you have a small-minded, like a town mind, like you live in a small mind, you think that one person, 10 people, 100 people gonna stop a person from winning? The world is too big. It's too big, right? So when you want more and you don't see that the neighborhood, maybe the environment you come from, they're not supporting you, it's okay. Because I'm gonna tell you something, the world is so big that they may not see the vision, but what happens in most cases is once the world starts seeing your vision, it's sad that people that have been around you start seeing the vision. Let me say that again. It's sad that once the world starts seeing your vision, then the people who've been around you or had access to you start seeing the vision. So what happens is the world is bigger than them. We want to be accepted by everybody. We want people to love us and to support us and to buy our merch. And like, come on. The people that's meant to be will be. And you got to accept it. Those who aren't, won't. But again, in the process of building this better life, you're going to go through a lot of trials and tribulations. See, the problem is we don't like emotions, right? Let's say some emotions. And let's ask myself, have I been through it? Have you been through fear? Yes. Have you second-guessed yourself? Yes. Have you thought about quitting? Multiple times. Have you woke up with anxiety? Yes. Do you get depressed at sometimes? Yes. But the problem is, I'm not afraid to ask for help. But you are. You look at life as, I have to have it all together in order to have it all together. But I'm gonna tell you something, sometimes in the process of having it or making or getting it all together, you won't never have it all together because it doesn't matter. While you're learning how to get it together, you will never have it all together. No one knows, right, the true process of chasing success other than don't quit, have a good plan, keep going after your dreams, being consistent. This is what most people are gonna say. And that's the truest formula. But as I always say, that success leaves trails that only fools won't follow. Success leaves trails that only fools won't follow. They won't follow it. Why? Because they don't want to put in the work, but they want the results. That's the crabs. That's the mentality of a lot of people. You want something, but you second guessing you. See, the one thing I hate about a lot of times in life, watch this, Chris, when the person that takes the last shot in the game, right? Well, let's count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I take the shot. I missed the shot. You know the number one person that's mad at me for missing that shot is the person that was scared to get in the game. The person that wasn't good enough to get in the game. That's the person that's going to talk about you the most. But the people that went to war with me won't say that because they understand that you win some and you lose some. But this is the thing about life. You fail forward. When you lose, you fail forward. You learn from the mistake. But if you don't learn from the mistake, you constantly keep making the same mistakes because you haven't learned from the mistake. You fail forward, right? I'd rather be consistent, right? When I'm chasing my perfection. I'd rather be consistent. See, the thing about it is, we're not consistent enough to get the results that we want. You say you want this great result, but you got to build a great mentality to have a great result. But I'm going to tell you something again, as I said, when taking that last shot, the person that's going to laugh at me the most is the person that wasn't willing to take the last shot, right? The person that wasn't willing to take the last shot. That's who's going to laugh at me. Yes, I missed the shot, but guess what? I had the courage to take it. And you want to hear something? When it comes to it again, I'll take the shot again. Because I'm going to tell you something about life. And this is a reality. If you don't believe in you, who will? Let me ask that again. If you don't believe in you, who will? It takes confidence, right? Let's say some other words. It takes sacrifice, guys. It takes doing more, guys. It takes relentlessness, guys. It takes fighting when no one want to fight for you. You got to fight for yourself, right? Right? Take accountability, right? When you lose. Who loses when you're accountable? And when you're accountable, you can't lose. See, sometimes the words are too small for me to see. But at the end of the day, I still can see it. Sometimes the book, right, that you left closed all these years is the book you could have read that could have changed your life, right? We don't realize that when we write our chapters in our life, that our stories and what we've been through in our journey has brought us to these moments. Sometimes we ask ourselves, like, why have I been through so much? But then this is my question to a person that would say that. Why haven't you? So you telling me right now, Dre, a person could be born in a third world country and could have no food, but you can complain about the fact that your father wasn't there. Right? You can tell me a person, Dre, can be born in a country with no water, but you're mad at the fact that you lost your job today because you kept being late. You see how the trade-off isn't even fair? When you really evaluate how selfish you are, you'll see why you're not getting great results. Because you don't even count your own blessings. See, when you say 1, 2, 3, you skip 4, 5, 6 and jump all over the numbers, right? God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. But some of the soldiers that you think you are, you ain't the soldier because you're not willing to take the battles. It takes a soldier to go through battles. Life is a war that you have to constantly set up, put on your boots tight and get ready for. Because we're talking about pursuing another level. We talk about pursuing the BBL. What is the BBL, Dre? Building a better life. I want to build a better life. So what is it do I have to do in order to acquire this new status? In order to acquire this new status, I got to change the old me because the old me is the reason why I am where I am today. The education level you at today is the reason why you are where you are today. The mindset you have right now is the reason why you are where you are today. The people you hang around is the reason why you are where you are today. And it's a harsh reality. And also we have to acknowledge the things we're doing is the reason why we are where we are today. And you're going to remain where you are today until you learn to realize that you're the reason why you are where you are today. We got to be conscious of this. No one wants to hear anything about themselves. No one wants to be accountable. No one wants to say that it's my fault. You got grown-ups still blaming their parents about their childhood, and now they're 40. I get it. You might have some trauma, right? But the trauma is not stopping you from getting up and going to work, right? You're not getting up and working, but you want everything to happen for you, right? Do you want the BBL working hard, or the fast way? Choose. Do you want, see, you want the BBL, but you want it to come fast. You want to skip steps. What is the BBL? The building the better life. That's the only BBLs we going after these days. We trying to build better lives, right? We don't want to engage in those conversations no more. You ever looked at somebody that every time they come around you, all they want to do is talk about somebody else's misery? When you look at that person, you should look them dead in their eyes and say, I'm going to pray for you. And why you say I'm going to pray for you is because something is wrong with that person. That person ain't happy. There's no way a happy person wants to sit down and talk about people. I don't have the energy to do it because I'm building and worrying about myself. When you're worrying about yourself, you have no time to engage in foolish conversations. I don't want to hear someone else's misery. I don't want to hear what a person ain't doing. They're choosing to do that. When you tell a grown-up that losing is a choice, they look at you like you're crazy. But being honest with you, today I'm going to say this on record, Chris, losing is a choice. You can choose to lose. How do you choose to lose? Watch this. And I'm going to ask y'all questions on my live, and I want y'all to answer this. If I'm hanging around people who don't want much for life, they don't want much, right? I want more, but every time I have conversations with them, they telling me I can't. Do you think they're going to motivate me? I don't think so. If I go around environments that's going to push me backwards, ultimately setting me to the point where I don't want to be, do you think that's conducive for my growth? If I'm entertaining conversations that's not figuring out the solutions to the plan that I want. See, I'm gonna tell you something about a plan. Listen to this analogy. Stay with me right now. Guys, envision this, Chris. Dre, we're in the boat. And when you're in the boat, right, visually see this with me, guys. You're in a boat. And when you're in the boat, your boat has 1,000 holes in it. When you look at your boat, imagine being in the middle of the ocean in a boat with 1,000 holes in it. You're scared. You're like, oh my God, this boat got mad holes in it. But stay with me. When you look at the holes, you have the ability to plug the holes. How do you plug the holes, Dre? The holes are a representation of the lack of. What is the lack of? The lack of money to make the plan go to the next level. So if I get the money, right, for the plan, what happens to the plan? I plug the hole now. Now I need help, right? So I need to plug the hole called I need help. So now I find help. What do I do now? I plug that hole. Right? Now, let's just say I need a mentor to guide me to where I want to go. I need to find this mentor. Now I find the mentor. I plug the hole. So as you keep plugging these holes, what happens? The boat stops taking in water, right? And as it stops taking in water, the plan starts to float. And as the plan starts to float, the idea starts looking more realistic because the person that was sitting in the boat called the plan, they executed what was needed to make the boat float, which is the plan. They plugged the holes. But if you're sitting in this boat waiting for someone to plug holes for you, you're going to be sadly mistaken because you're going to sink. And most people vision sink because they don't plug the holes to their boat, which is the plan. And that's a reality. In order to execute things in life, you have to be around people that push you, encourage you, and stay on top of the plan with you. Sometimes it's not that the plan is not good, it's you don't have the right people around you helping you execute the plan. How are you going to execute a plan that is not even envisioned in your mind or wholeheartedly thought out correctly? We move impulsive. You're impulsive. How is the impulse? You're moving too fast. You're so hyped about it, right? You went to a seminar, someone said a few things, and now you're moving too fast. I know a woman. She went to a particular person's seminar. And when she went to the person's seminar, she basically was motivated after the seminar about flipping houses. I told her, yo, come sit down with me and let me hear your plan. She goes, all right, no problem. She never called me. She ended up finding a property, purchased the property, got stuck in the property, and realized she couldn't flip out of the property. Because what happens is most people that give you these seminars and these plans, they don't tell you the story all the way through. They make it sound so easy that anyone believes that they can do it, ultimately doing it and failing because of the fact that they never had a plan. Anyone that has a plan or doing anything, you should have multiple exit strategies before starting. You should have different, you know what? Sometimes it's not the plan that's bad, right? Sometimes it's the route that you took to the plan. Would you agree? Sometimes it's the route you took, right? And this is the problem. We'll get to the results, but you took it the wrong way. You took a detour, right? And the sad part about the detour, you thought the detour was better because of the fact that you thought it was a shortcut. And a lot of times I realize that in business, a lot of people try to take shortcuts. This is why we lose, right? They try to take the shortcut. Life will always punish the person that wants to take the shortcut. You are a whole grown woman or a grown man, and you still looking for a shortcut through life. There's no way I'm gonna be this old still thinking there's a shortcut. It's impossible. You know, you could be the guy that's the least successful, or the woman that's least successful, but yet and still you'll be the most teachable. The most coachable and teachable people are the ones who tend to do the best in anything they do. They do their research, they do their homework, they get mentors, they have conversations pertaining to everything they want. And I told people all the time, with me, when you talk to me, 90% of my conversations is about something called solution. I'm a very solution-based person. How many times are you going to complain about being broke before you realize that the problem why you're broke is the fact that you keep complaining about you being broke? There's never an easy way. Let me say this again. How many times are you going to complain about being broke when we already know the problem is being broke, but we constantly complaining about being broke when you realize, ding, 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 the solution to not being broke is to learn or to do or to pick up a new skill that makes you more money. That's how you have to think in life. You have to be solution-based. But if you don't have any skills, why would you be paid more money? When companies pay people a lot of money, it's because they have a lot of skills to make them more what? Money. If you have a job that a monkey can do, what makes that a skill? It's not a skill. Sometimes I tell people all the time, it's not that the plan is messed up, it's the way you going about your plan. It's nothing wrong with going back to school to further educate yourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. Why do I say that? Because in order to get somewhere, you have to have a skill. We're going into a world right now, right? Where everything is AI, everything is robotic, everything is technologically based. So soon you're gonna have a robot driving a car for you. You're gonna have cashiers cashing you out. You're gonna have machines stocking shelves. Program beep, beep, beep is gonna take something off a SKU, run it to shelves and pack it up. Way faster than you and cheaper labor. This is what's happening, right? Hard work always will beat talent. But this is what we don't understand. We don't want to have the conversations that's necessary, so guess what? We have the conversations that's unnecessary. It is unnecessary to constantly keep talking about your problems. We want the BBL. We want the BBL. What is the BBL? To build the better life. You'll never build a better life if you're not willing to take up your hammer and nails and start building. Some people want things that they haven't even started doing. You haven't done nothing but believe that you're going to have so much more. Where does that make sense? My mother always used to say to me as a kid, you can't even eat the food that's on your plate, but you still want more. As a kid, my mother always said to me, you want more food on your plate, but you haven't even eaten what's on your plate. You want more from life, but you can't even handle what's on your plate. Any amount of pressure that comes to you, you fold, you complain, you cry, you nag, you whine. But you want more. Why would life give you more when they realize you can't even handle what you have? I'm asking a serious question. Why would life give you more when you've shown multiples of times that you can't even handle what you have? Why would I pass you to the next grade when you failed the last 4 quarters? But you want to be passed to the next grade. So when the 4 quarters go by, that whole year went by, right? You haven't even done anything to move you forward. The grades that you have in life look like the speed limit, 55, 55, 55, 55, all through life. Let me say that again. The grades that you have in life looks like the speed limits, 55, 55, 55, and 55. You fail in every class, but yet and still believe that you are worthy to move to the next grade. That's how you have to view life. You got to stop doing the speed limit, baby. You got to view life as, what am I willing to do to get more? I know I want the BBL. I know I want the better life. I want to build a better life, right? And when I say the word build, that means there's work behind it, right? Listen to that word again. I want to build a better life. But you're scared to even start building, right? You cannot pass without the steps. You want to move forward without taking steps. You want to get into successful rooms without knowing how to talk about and have the proper conversations. As I said before, when you look at a person when they're young, they look like their parents. But as they get older, they start looking like their life's decisions. And a lot of people look like their life decisions. If you don't start making the right decision, you're going to realize that you are the failure because of the fact that you have never made a right decision. There's a GPS in life, and this GPS just told you to make a right, and you just made a left. The GPS just told you to go straight, and you made a U-turn. The GPS told you this is the exit, but guess what you did? You kept on driving. You're not willing to follow the directions with your GPS, Chris, all through life, but you expect to have good results. Your GPS just told you, make this left, you made it right. Your GPS said go straight, you turned around. Your GPS said this is the exit, you kept driving straight. But you can't even take directions. You can't take directions. Sometimes you need to listen. If you cannot hear, how will you learn? How? You got to get out your own skin and sometimes realize that it's us who's not willing to hear anything. In life, when pursuing your greatest self, you're not going to always hear what you want to hear. You're not going to always be told what you want to be told. You're not going to always make sense to people. Sometimes people are going to tell you, yo, you're wrong. But guess what? In order to be right, you have to accept at times you will be wrong. In order to be right, you have to accept that sometimes you will be wrong. It's a part of life. I want to say that one more time. In order to be right, you have to accept that sometimes you will be wrong. In order to be a great teacher, you have to be comfortable being a student. In order to understand information, You have to be willing to ask questions. I don't want to be the child in the class no more that's scared to raise his hand. And I'm going to give you a scenario. When I was younger and I used to sit in the classroom, I used to be very scared to raise my hand. I was intimidated because of the fact that I was worried about what people would think about me. Not realizing that I was hyper intelligent, but I was scared to be intelligent because I didn't want people to judge me. There are multiple kids in life and people right now who are those kids who would never do this. They never raise their hand. And what happens in life is they never raise their hand, so they never speak up for themselves, and they never ask questions. Even if they knew the answer, they never wanted to say it. So what happens is that when you knew the answer and you didn't raise your hand, it stops your confidence. So all through life, you stop asking or answering any questions because you never raised your hand. And what happens, there's a lot of people right now who need to raise their hand today. You may know the answer. And there are some people who don't know the answer, who need to still raise their hand. So once you learn the answer, now you know the answer. We learn forward. In order to learn, we learn forward. We don't learn backwards anymore. We learn forward. It's okay to be wrong. But the reason why you were wrong is because you asked the question, but now you know what's right. How could you ever be right if you're not willing to learn forward? We want the BBL. We want the better life. I want the better life. Someone on my live today, please say this with me. I want the better life. Someone say it. If you want the better life, say, I want the better life. You got to speak these things in existence. But I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to be honest with you. We know what we want, right? This in my hand is the better life, right? Watch this. You will never get the better life until your actions surpasses your dreams. If your dreams are running a faster race than your actions, then your dreams will never happen. Your actions have to beat the dream. It's a race. But if your actions never take the steps past your dream will remain what? A dream. Dream will never come to reality until your actions pass the dream. Your actions have to run past the dream. Keep working harder than the dream, and the dream will become something called reality. We're scared of our realities. We're complacent. We're content, right? I want the better life. We said today, do you want the BBL? Do you want to build a better life? The BBL is building a better life. Do you want to build a better life? I do. But listen to that term, build. Build requires work. It requires effort. It requires consistency. It requires sacrifice. It requires you getting out of your comfort. But I ask this question today. Are you willing to get out your comfort? Most people will never get out their comfort. Because you know why? They'd rather the BBL be a dream and never take action towards the dream, never making a dream become a reality. You cannot speak things into existence without work, without action, without steps. Believing is only a part of the process, but it's not the total process. We got to believe, yes, but believing is not going to make it happen. Because the Bible also says faith without work is dead. It's nothing. You want something from nothing. It don't make sense. It don't make sense. So ask again, are you willing to build this better life? Are you willing to build this better life? I'm asking myself this question while I'm saying it. Because people think I'm doing well, and I keep saying to myself, I have bigger dreams. But I'm going to tell you something. As of tonight, and I'm going to say this on record, and I hope you're saying it with me, my dreams have just taken the backseat to my actions. I think I just lapped my dream. And I'm going to keep running harder than my dreams. I'm not going to sit back saying I want something, but my actions aren't saying it. It's beautiful to say what you want, but it's a different thing when you're doing what you got to do so you can get to where you want. Nothing happens by chance. Everything happens by action. And as long as you don't make the steps, nothing will ever happen. So I'm asking this question again. Do you really want the BBL? Do you really want to build a better life? And I'm giving you time to think about it. Do you want to build this better life? Most will say yes, but your actions will never reflect that you're willing to build this BBL. Till next time, guys, don't let that go over your head.